Okay, so hello everybody. Can everybody hear me? Can you guys give me a confirmation if you can hear me? I see a lot of people in the chat today. And can you guys hear my voice clearly or not? Somebody say yes or sounds okay. Rosa says great, excellent. All right, so a lot of people are in the chat already. We still have a couple of minutes before we start. So welcome. Hello to everyone. We have Christian. We have Amit, who says it's his first time. So welcome, Amit, to the tribe. Very happy to have you here with us, and I hope you enjoy it. We have Patricia from France. Hello. Who else do we have? Paolo says hi. Hi, Paolo. Exo, hi. Shevin, hi. How are you doing? Patricia, again, from France. Yusuf says hi, Karim. Hi, Yusuf. And Rosa, of course, is here. We have two Rosas. We have Rosa, who's helping us moderate in the chat. So thank you, Rosa, for always helping us out. And we have another Rosa. Hello. Exo. I hope I'm saying that right. Exo. We have Jose. So yeah, we have a few people in the chat already. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, and good night wherever you are in the world. It's 3 p.m. in the afternoon here in Vancouver, where I am. Hello from Mexico. Hello, Pokemon. Pokemon from Mexico. Hi. So should I call you Poke or Pokemon? Like full name or just, I don't know how that's going to work. Zainab, so happy to be here. Thank you, Zainab. I'm also very happy for you being here. So my name is Karim. If you have not been to my class before, this is my second class streaming on Smrt English. I'm an English teacher here in Canada in Canadian College of English Language. And I work with Sean. And I've been with the school for about 5 years now. Poke says it's okay to call him Poke. All right, I'll do that. So this is my second stream for lower intermediate to intermediate, which is around level 120 in Smrt English. Joao says hello. Hi. I'm sure that I'm saying that wrong. Joao or Joa. Noor says hi. Hi, Noor. So I'm an English teacher here at the Canadian College of English Learning. I've been doing this for a while now here, and I've been working with Smrt ever since I started, and I love it, which is why I'm doing this now. Also, if you are interested, I host another channel on YouTube called Food AF, and it's completely different than this one. So if you like food or watching food, you can check me out there. All right, so I guess we'll wait one more minute, just give a chance to everybody to get settled in, and we will start. So we're going to be doing vocabulary again this week on different topics. So to follow along, please make sure you have a pen and paper to write down the words that we're going to talk about. Or if you like, open a Word document or type the words on a computer or somewhere. So you can have a list of the words that you can use to help you answer the questions at the end of the lesson. Hussein says hello from the Middle East. Hello, Hussein. Shirayuki. Momo says hi. Hello, Shirayuki. Okay. Okay, so let's begin. So this week's vocabulary is from Unit 2 in English 120 on Smrt, and it's going to be on housing. So we're going to be talking about words that are related to housing. Let me just open this up, and I think it's okay. And where am I? Here I am. Okay. Shevin says, can you please write the channel's name? I love cooking. Well, that's good. I love cooking too. I'll do that, but I'll do that at the end. All right. So at the end of the video, I promise I'll write for you the name of the other channel. But it's called Food AF. right? Just the letter AF. Who else do we have? We have Serene says hello. Hello, Serene. Ali. Hi, Ali. Okay, so a lot of people are getting in. Naji says hello. Hi, Naji. Welcome to the lesson. Okay, so let's begin. So this week we're talking about housing. So Unit 2 in Smrt 120. If anybody out there has access to Smrt, if not, just please follow along. So let's begin. Let me just go full screen. There we go. Okay. Xfan says hello. Hello, Xfan. Saeed. Hi, Saeed. Welcome to the class. All right, so let's begin. So please write the words along so you can have a list at the end and you can use them to answer the questions. So let's begin. Let's see what we have in the beginning. So remember, we're talking about words related to housing, right? Or to finding houses or apartments or places where you live in general. Saeed says he's a new student. Welcome, Saeed. Very happy to have you with us, and I hope you become an old student in the future. Old in length, not old in years. I hope you stay young forever. Shevin says, I got you. Okay. All right, guys, try not to watch the food channel right now. Let's focus on the English lesson, and then you can go watch food later. You'll be hungry, I promise, after the lesson today. All right, so let's begin. So the first word that we have today is ad, or advertisement. So ad is the shortened version of the word advertisement. And an ad is basically where people put things so that you can find out about them, right? So we see ads every day in magazines, online. You know how you see these things that pop up, buy this and buy that, or these kinds of things, right? So an advertisement is very simply a place or something that shows you something that is available for you to buy or to rent or to do something with, right? So it's a way of getting people to know what you have to offer them. So for example, it says, I found an ad for an apartment on the internet. And as you can see in the picture, all of these are some examples of ads, right? So sale, I don't know what they're selling somewhere over there, and different ads about different things. So so that's ad or advertisement. In some countries, they call it commercial, right? So it could be called a commercial or commercials, but here in North America, we usually say ads. Okay. Next word we have is, Firdaus says marketing. Marketing is not exactly an advertisement, but some of the tools, right, or some of the things that we do in marketing include advertisements, right? So it's related, but it's not exactly the same meaning, right? So marketing is sort of a field of study, right, or a topic like biology or chemistry or physics. Marketing, right? But advertisement is part of marketing. So it's a tool that marketers use to sell things. Is the word publicity the same as advertisement? Rosa is asking. Yes, publicity, I would say, is a kind of advertisements because, yeah, what you do in publicity is you want people to know about you. So, yes, publicity, I would say, is a kind of advertisement or a sort of synonym for it. And yeah, all right, that's it. So next word we have is an apartment. So apartment is what most people in the world live in these days. Unless you are rich enough to buy a whole house, right? So a house and an apartment is not exactly the same thing. A house is usually where one entire family lives, and it's usually a building by itself. An apartment is a place where you live, but it's part of a much larger building that has many other apartments in it. So like you see in this picture, this is an example of an apartment. This is a very typical looking apartment in Vancouver. So yeah, it looks very common to me. A flat, Patricia says flat. Yes, so flat is the, I would say, the British word for apartment. It's more common to say flat if you're in Europe, but in North America, apartment is usually what people say. But yeah, flat is a good synonym for apartment. But most people will not understand flat in North America. Next word we have is appliance. appliance, right? So appliance. So it says here, I just bought new appliances for my kitchen. So looking at this picture, you can't really tell what is the appliance in it, right? So very simply, an appliance just means something, usually a machine that is designed to do a specific task, right? And when we say I'm buying some house or some appliances for the house, usually, so let's take a look at this picture. So for example, this blender here, this is a kind of appliance. It's a machine designed to do a few specific tasks. This mixer is an appliance. The fridge or the refrigerator can be considered an appliance. The microwave can also be an appliance. So that's usually what people mean when they say the word appliance, right? It's just things or machines that you buy that are designed to do specific things. And usually they're electric, right? So usually we mean electric appliances when people say that. Tatiani says, hi Tatiani, welcome to the class. Elias says, a device. Not exactly, no. I wouldn't say a device is an appliance is not always a device. Well, technically, I guess you could. You could say an appliance is a device. But if you say, I'm going to the store to buy a device, people might ask you what kind of device. They're not going to understand that you mean appliance. If you say appliance, people will have a general idea of what you mean. But if you say device, it's more broad, right? It's much wider. Like you have a lot of options under devices, not the same as appliance. Utensils, so MJ Shahid says utensils. No, utensils are different. Utensils are the tools that you use in the kitchen. So things like spoons and knives and forks, things like that, right? So these are usually what we call utensils. Washing machine. Patricia says a washing. Yes, a washing machine can be an appliance. Amit says equipment. Again, yes, and appliances are equipment. But if you say I'm going to the store to buy some equipment, equipment can be many different things, right? It's not necessarily these kinds of appliances. So usually, if you want people to understand that you're buying something for your house, for the kitchen, it's very common to say appliances. I need to go buy some kitchen appliances, right? Or some appliances. Elias says, again, or an instrument. Yes, so a lot of you guys are giving very good synonyms for that, but the synonyms that you're using are much wider, right? So it can, usually people will have to ask you what type of things are you going to buy after these things. Hello from Libya. Hi, so I think this, Farag, so Farag, I can read your name because it's in Arabic and I can read that, but most of the people in the chat can't, so if you can do us a favor and write your name in English so everybody else can chat with you, that would be great. Like dishwasher, appliance, like some kind of things. Yes, appliance, like I said, right? It's usually an electric machine that you buy for the kitchen, right? If you're talking, remember we're talking about housing today. So yeah. Okay, let's see what the next word is. Balcony. So balcony. Some apartments have balconies. Some apartments don't have balconies. Some synonyms for balcony. So some people here might say veranda, or some people might say a patio. So yeah, so a balcony basically is usually an area that is outside of your apartment, that you open a door and you walk out, then you have fresh air, right, to sit outside. So like this picture, which is not very clear actually. It's very hard to see the balcony here. But that's what a balcony is. Actually, let's see if we can find a picture of a balcony on Google. That's a little bit better than this one. Okay, so images. So there we go. So these are some examples of balconies. So I would say this is a good example of a balcony right there, right? So yeah, balcony, veranda, patio, all of these are words that you might hear people call this. Terrace, yes. Elias says a terrace. Some people say terrace. Yes, that's true. MJ Shahid says a porch. No, MJ. A porch is a little bit different than a balcony. So a porch is usually part of a house. So if you have a house, this is a porch, right? So a porch is usually the front part of your house that you can sit on, right? So the only difference really is a porch is, you can find porches in houses, balconies are in apartments, right? So they're similar, but they're in different places. So apartments have balconies, houses have porches. And that's the main difference, really. Terrace, yes, right? Very good. All right, so let's get back to the words. So balcony, next word is cable. So cable has a few meanings, but the meaning that we're looking for today is if you say I have cable at home, it just means TV channels, right? So usually TV channels that you pay for with a monthly subscription. So every month you pay a certain amount of money to watch TV. And in North America, we call this type of TV cable. So like the example here, it says, I have TV, but I don't have cable. So what he's saying is he has the regular TV, which is free. You know how when you put your TV to the general antenna and you get free channels? That's not cable. So cable are channels that you have to pay money for. Rosa says, in Italy we say balcone. I actually know that word because that's the same word that we use in where I'm from. Amanda says balcony. Yes, balcony, that's the word that we were talking about. Oh, sorry. Amanda's asking, is there a difference between a terrace and a balcony? Not really. So a lot of people would interchange those words. That means sometimes they'd say this one, the other time they'd say this one. But like I said, there is a difference between a balcony and a porch. So a porch is part of a house, and a balcony is part of apartments usually. So back to the word cable. So remember, cable is TV, but TV channels that you have to pay money for to watch. Cable for internet, it's possible. Not really, no. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say I'm watching cable online. So usually people will just say whatever it is they're watching. So what's very, very common is Netflix, right? People would say, I'm watching Netflix, or I'm watching Hulu, or I'm watching something like that. It's not very common, really, no. I haven't heard anybody say I'm watching cable and they mean that they're watching something on the internet. No. All right, let's see what else do we have. Ceiling. So ceiling is, again, not very clear from this picture. This picture could be a wall or something else. But a ceiling is basically the part that when you look up is above your head, right? So where the lights in the ceiling are, right? So some people describe it as the opposite of a floor, but I don't know how accurate really that is. But yeah, ceiling is basically what's above your head when you look up, right? That thing that looks like a wall, but it's not on the sides, it's above you, right? We call that a ceiling. It's not the same as a roof. The roof is the outside of the house, right? So, you know, in very typical house pictures, when the house looks like this, the roof is on the outside and the ceiling is on the inside, right? Amin says wire. No, Amin, we're not talking about cable that means wire. That is true. Cable does mean wire, but in the context that we're talking about, cable just means channels that you watch on TV, but you have to pay for them. They're not free. Elias says simply the roof. No, see, this is what I was talking about. Roof and ceiling are not the same thing. So ceiling is from the inside. So if you're standing inside a room and you look up, what you see is the ceiling. You cannot see the roof from the inside of a house. So you need to go outside to see the roof, right? So the roof and ceiling are not the same. Talcha says, hello all, I'm sorry I'm late. Don't worry about it, Talcha. Welcome to class. We're happy that you made it. Rosa says, the ceiling is under the roof. Yes, right? So I would say the ceiling is under the roof. Gerwazi says the top wall in the room. Yeah, you can describe it that way, but it's not the wall, right? So that's the name of it, is ceiling, right? We don't say the top wall, we say the ceiling, and that's what it's called. But I understand what you're trying to say. Yes, that's what it is. Amanda says, once I panted, I think you mean painted with an I. Once I painted the ceiling, and it was the worst thing about painting a house. Yes, I agree, because it's not easy to paint the ceiling. But yeah, so that's the ceiling, right? So make sure that you don't confuse it with a roof, right? So ceiling is from the inside, and the roof is from the outside. All right, next word we have is commercial. So if you remember before, I said advertisement or ads. Another word for it is commercial, right? Or if you go to Europe, most people would say commercials instead of advertisements. But this is a different meaning for commercial. So commercial, we're talking about business, right? So in relation to businesses. So for example, the sentence says, I work in a commercial part of the city, right? I work in a commercial part of the city. That means you work in the part of the city that has a lot of businesses, right? So usually downtown, in a lot of cities, the downtown is where a lot of businesses is, right? You walk around and there's stores everywhere and offices and things like that, right? So we call this the commercial area, right, of your city. Adriano says, hello everyone, I'm from Brazil, and here we say Tito or Teto. I'm not sure you say that about what. Which word are you talking about, Adriano? I'm not sure. But yeah, so he's saying they call it Teto something. But I don't know what he's talking about. So please clarify. But yeah, so commercial is just another way of saying business, right? So I work in a commercial part of the city. So as you can see, this picture, there's a lot of busy businesses, and you can see that there's a lot of businesses and stores and lots of things happening here. So this is a commercial area of the city. Amit says formal. Formal. Do you mean commercial means formal? No, not really. It doesn't mean formal. It just means businesses, right? An area where there's a lot of businesses that exist. So it doesn't matter what the kind of businesses are, but a lot of businesses in one area, we call this a commercial area. Amanda says, is it okay to say commercial department? It depends on what are you trying to say. So, but I would say no, not really. If you mean an area of a city, we would say the commercial district, right, or the commercial area. But we don't say the commercial department. Department is usually a part of a business, right? You know, like the marketing department or the sales department or something like that. Oh, Adriano says he was talking about the ceiling. All right, so in Brazil they say teto for ceiling. Thanks for sharing. Rosa, yes, you were right, Rosa. He was talking about the ceiling. Okay, let's go to the next word. And let's see what we have. Just let me... So the next word is community. Community. So community is community can be used in a few different meanings or different senses, right? So community can very simply mean the general area where you are from. This is the community that you live in, right? Or a community can be a group of people where you share some things. So you can share some interests about some stuff, or you can share jobs, or you can share a love for something, or a hobby, right? And basically the people that you share this with, they are your community, right? Like us, for example, right? So you guys are my community, right? So I see you every week. We talk, we chat. There's a connection between us. We're all interested in similar things. So we are sort of like a community, right? And I hope for us to be one. But I'm calling us the tribe, right? So please join the tribe. Let's make a tribe together. Some people are saying, I thought it meant advertising. So Sakat says, I thought it meant advertising. Yes, so I mentioned that before, right? So commercial, another meaning for the word commercial is advertisements, right? So people in England, for example, would say, I saw a commercial on TV yesterday, right? They're not going to say I saw an advertisement. But it also has the other meaning that we were talking about in this context, right? So if you say I live in the commercial area or I work in the commercial district of a city, it just means the area that has a lot of businesses. Sakat asks, did community come from common? I actually don't know. So yeah, I'm not sure about the origin of the word, but that's a very interesting link. I'll look that up. Elias says like a small society. Yeah, right. That could be a good description for a community, right? It's like a small society, people who share interests or something together. Okay, let's see what we have next. So a den. So den is not something I would say that's common depending on where you are in the world. So here in Canada, where I'm from, den is something that's common. So a lot of apartments, if you look at a lot of advertisements or if you look at a lot of ads for apartments, some of the apartments will say that they include a den or they have a den. And a den, very simply, is usually it's a room that exists in the apartment that is a little bit smaller than the average room, and people use it for like they can make a small office in the house or make a small area where they can watch TV or something like that. It's not a living room. A living room is much bigger than a den, right? So a den is usually a much smaller room in a lot of apartments here. MS Shahid says like a studio apartment. No, it's not like a studio apartment. A studio apartment is a full apartment, right? It just doesn't have separate rooms inside of it. That's what we call a studio, right? And I think that's a word that we're going to talk about today later. But it's not. A den is just a small room, right? So just think of it like that, right? A small room in your apartment or house. And people here call that a den. You might not have it where you're from in the world, but yeah. So here in Canada, it's pretty common. A lot of apartments have dens, and you can see a lot of advertisements where people are advertising that they have a den in the apartment. Elias says it's a new word for me, Karim. Yes, I know a lot of people that come to Canada usually are a little bit confused about the dens first, but yeah, once you're here for a while, you sort of you get used to it. But it's just a small room, right? Just a small room. It's as simple as that. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Deposit. Deposit. So it says you always have to pay a deposit when signing a lease. Now, remember, we're talking about housing today, right? So because deposit can have a little sort of different meaning depending on what you're talking about. But we're talking to houses and housing. So in the context of houses, a deposit is usually an amount of money that you pay to the landlord. And the landlord is usually the person that either owns the apartment or the person that manages the apartment. That's what they call them here. But a deposit is an amount of money that you pay to guarantee that if you do any damage or if you destroy something in the apartment, they have money to fix that, right? If you don't destroy anything in an apartment that you're renting, so usually, obviously, this only works for rent. You're not going to pay a deposit for your own house if you own it. But if you're renting, which is what most people do here, so I rent my apartment, and when I rented it, I had to pay a deposit. So the company that I rent my apartment from, they have my deposit, and by the time that I leave, if I decide to leave, if I have been good and I did not destroy anything in the apartment, then I will get my deposit back. If I destroyed something, then it depends on how much damage you do. They might take a little bit from it to fix it, or if it's really, really bad, they might not give you back your deposit. So Sakat says it's like a guarantee money. Yes, that's exactly what it's like, right? It's money to guarantee that if something happens, they have money to fix it. And also, it's like a guarantee so that you don't destroy anything, right? Because usually people want their deposit back. Adriano says, I've never heard this word before. Interesting. Well, now you know it. That's why we are here. Lease is the contract when you rent. Yes, that's right, Amanda, and we are actually going to see that word today. Shevin says, and you pay it in advance. Yes, you do, right? So a deposit is paid usually when you're signing your contract before you get the keys to the apartment, right? You have to pay in advance. And in advance just simply means before you start renting or before you buy something, right? Poke says, do they get back the deposit? Yes, right? So you get back the deposit if you have not done any damage to the apartment and you did not ruin anything in there, basically. Yeah, you get your deposit back. Or you might get some of it if you did damage or do any damage to the apartment. And if you're curious, usually the deposit amount that you have to pay in Vancouver, which is where I am right now, it's 50% of your rent. So for example, if your apartment is $1,000 a month, you have to pay $500 deposit. Rosa says we have to pay 3 or 4 months deposit to rent an apartment. Wow, that is. I was complaining about the 50% of 1 month's rent, and Rosa has to pay 3 to 4. So I think I'll stop complaining now and just be happy. That is a lot, 3 to 4 times a month's rent. Elias says, I wonder, is it a verb or a noun? It's both. So a deposit can be a noun, and to deposit some money can be a verb. But the verb is more in banking, right? So the verb is not really related to the housing vocabulary that we're doing today. So it's more really the noun that you want for the meaning that we're talking about. Amanda says we have to pay 200% for deposit. Wow. So, well, I guess then I guess we actually have it. We have it pretty good in Canada then, right? 50% of 1 month is not so bad now after reading all this. All right, let's. What else do we have? We have details. The word details. So it says there are so many details we need to discuss before buying the home. There are so many details that we need to discuss before buying the home. So details are what? Details are the individual pieces of information, right? When you look at them separately, right? All of them together, they give you a bigger picture, right? But if you want to look at the smaller things, usually we say look at this, look at the details, right? So so for example, before you sign a contract, when you rent a house, you will have to look at the details in your contract, right? So look at all the different individual items in your contract. And you can call that the details. Sakat says details explaining deeply. Yes. Amanda says I'll move to Canada. Well, nope, it's too cold. It's too cold. Well, it's not so bad in Vancouver. Vancouver is much nicer than the rest of Canada, but it still gets cold, just not as cold as everywhere else. Rosa says you better not complain anymore. Oh, I'm not complaining anymore, Rosa. You opened my eyes. I'm very lucky to right now. Yep, that's it. All right, so next word. What do we have? Dishwasher. So the dishwasher is one of my favorite things in the world. I love it. And it's exactly what the word says. So dishwasher, right? It's a machine or an appliance, like the word that we looked at earlier, and it has a function, or it's designed to do something specific, and in this case, it's to wash your dishes. Elias says specific things for details. Yes, that's correct. So yeah, so a dishwasher, like we said, right? I'm sure everybody knows a dishwasher because we all love it so much. I recently moved to a new apartment that has a dishwasher, and I've been really enjoying it because I did not have a dishwasher before, and I had to wash dishes by hand. Not very fun. Okay, next word, district. So district, it says our school is located in the business district of the city. Our school is located in the business district of the city. So district, very simply is, excuse me, sorry. So district is just very simply a way to say an area, right? A specific area in a town or a country or something like that. So yeah, so like we said before, right? Remember the commercial district, right? If you live in the commercial district or you work in the commercial district, that means you work in the area of town that has a lot of commerce, right? Or businesses happening. You can, nobody, for example, nobody wants to live or likes to live in the industrial district, right? Which is the area in the town or a city that has a lot of factories and, you know, maybe smoke coming up from the top of the factories and things like that, right? So district is just very simply an area, right? In region, I mean, it says like a region. Yep, similar to, I would say it's similar to that. But it's more common to say district, especially if you're talking about areas inside a city. If you say region, people tend, or people usually think of a much larger area, right? So, so for example, like the Middle East, right? The Middle East is a region, right? It's a big area. Inside cities, usually we say things like district, right? So I live in the commercial district, the industrial district, the residential district, and things like that. Dish and meal are not the same. Dish and meal are not the same. I'm not sure what you mean, Rosa. Elias says, or simply you could get married, Karim. I think he's replying to the dishwasher. Like, since I got a dishwasher, he said, oh, simply you can get married, Karim. Well, I am married, actually, Elias, and I still did the dishes. So that doesn't make a big difference, really, if you're married or not. Okay, let's see what else do we have. So the next word is dryer. Another machine that I like very much is the dryer, or another appliance that I like very much is called the dryer. So the dryer, again, very simply, it does what the word sounds like. It dries things. So after you wash your clothes, the machine that you put your clothes in that makes your clothes dry, right? The opposite of wet, we call that a dryer here. Elias says zone. Yeah, zone can be something like a district. Yep, could be a synonym for that. Patricia says, is district a synonym of department? No, it's not. Department, like we said before, departments are usually parts of a company, right? It's not the same as an area, right? So district means area. Valerie says, hi Kareem, so sorry to be late, first time in your class. That is absolutely no problem, Valerie. I'm happy that you could make it. Welcome to the class, and just, yeah, don't worry about it. Joao says, district is similar to state or province. No, not really. A state is like in the United States. You know, if you hear of like California, for example, or Arizona, or Washington, or New York, or things like that. All of these are states, right? They're really large areas that might have a lot of cities inside of them and things like that. And provinces is similar to a state, right? So in Canada, we don't have states, we have provinces, right? So I live in the province of British Columbia. So Vancouver is in British Columbia, which is a province in Canada. So not exactly the same also, or no. Just think of it this way, right? A district is an area within a city, right? That's it. Just think of it like that. The sun is the best dryer. Sakat says the sun is the best dryer. Well, that's true because it's the cheapest. So I agree. I agree with that. I'm up for saving money wherever I can. Yassine says hello everyone. Hi Yassine, welcome to the class. All right, let's see what the next word is. Electricity, right? So electricity, I'm sure all of us, or I'm hoping that all of us know what that means. Without electricity, you guys could not see me right now, right? So electricity is the power that we use for a lot of our appliances and machines and anything that needs power to run, right? We usually use electricity for it these days. To entertain. Now, notice that this word is not entertainment, it's entertain. So to entertain is a verb. And as you can see here, it says, I enjoy entertaining guests in my home. I enjoy entertaining guests in my home. So what is to entertain? To entertain very simply means when you host people, right? Or when you have people over, and sometimes even not necessarily to host people. You don't have to invite people somewhere to entertain them. But to entertain very simply means to show people a good time, right? To make people feel comfortable, happy, to make them feel that they're enjoying themselves, right? They're having a good time, right? So you entertain your guests. It's very common to say, I like to entertain my guests, or I like to have parties in my house because I really enjoy entertaining people. So it just means to show people a good time, right? Or to make sure that people are having a good time. To amuse, yes and no, right? So to amuse means because to entertain can include a lot of things, right? So for example, making sure that your guests have something to drink, or making sure that they have something to eat, making sure that they're comfortable, making sure that they're having fun, right? So entertain is a more wider word, right? It has a lot more meaning in it than just to amuse. To amuse is to make people be, how would I say this? To amuse somebody means to make them feel interested in something, right? Or to make them feel that, that made me smile a little bit on the inside, right? That's more amusement, really. Muhammad Wagih says, hey Karim. Hey Muhammad, good to see you. Welcome to the class. Rosa says, we can't do without electricity. It's unthinkable. Yeah, I agree. I don't think I can live a life without electricity anymore, unfortunately. But I would say that is true. Amanda says, I entertain my guests with Mexican gastronomy. And that sounds awesome. That's my favorite kind of entertainment. The electricity becomes something's vital matter in our life today. Yes, electricity is extremely vital in our life, right? Very, very important. Okay, let's see what the next word is. So the next word is entertainment. Now, it's not a verb anymore, it's a noun. And entertainment, so like the example here says, the entertainment district, right? So the entertainment area of town, the entertainment district, is quite noisy at night. The entertainment district is quite noisy at night. So entertainment very simply means anything that you like to do or experience, or anything that provides, right, entertainment for you, which means anything that makes you feel like you're having a good time, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself. All of these things are entertainment. So some examples of things of entertainment can be the cinema, or some activities to do, or some tours, or museums, or anything like that, right? Anything that you do to have a good time can be entertainment. Alam says, hi Karim. Hello, welcome to the class. Patricia says to have fun. Well, yeah, we do entertaining things to have fun, right? So entertainment is the noun, right? The things that we that provide the fun for us, right? So the things that provide the fun for us are things that are, or you could, I guess, classify as entertainment. I wouldn't like to live in the entertainment district. I would not either, Amanda. I would definitely not like to live in the entertainment district. I like my peace and quiet. Rosa says entertainer with an ER is a person. Yes, right? So a person whose job is to make people have a good time is an entertainer. So people like musicians or artists or dancers, anything like that, right? Anybody who puts a show or does something to make other people have a good time or feel happy is an entertainer. Fabrizio, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I hope I am. Says hello from Brazil. Hello, Fabrizio. Welcome. JB87, welcome back to the class. Nice to see you again. El Mariachi. Hi all. Hello. All right, so let's see what the next word is. Facilities. So my friend's apartment has great facilities like a gym and pool. So I think you can guess from the sentence what facilities are. JB87 says things that excite us. If you're talking about entertainment, yes, right? You could say that. Yeah. Usually, if you're entertained by something, you're excited by it and you like it. But yeah, that's it. So facilities. So like we said, you can guess probably what that means from the sentence. It says my friend's apartment has great facilities. Like what? Like a gym and a pool. Shevin says equipment. It could be. Yes, equipment could be facilities. Michael Jackson was a great entertainer. Rosa, yes, I will have to agree with that. He was. So back to facilities. Facilities, very simply, are things like buildings. It could be buildings. It could be a service or equipment, like Shevin said, that are provided or given to you for a specific purpose, right? So some facilities in buildings, for example, could be something like here, right? Like the gym. A gym is a facility that is provided to you in your building. Or a pool. If your building has a pool, that's a facility. Yeah, so that's basically what facilities are, right? So buildings or services or equipment that is provided or given to you for a specific purpose. Okay, next word. Factory. So industrial areas have got lots of factories. So factory very simply means usually it's a place where things are made, right? So anything really. Any place where something is made and you have a lot of it that is being produced at the same time, then we call this a factory, right? And that's really it. And usually factories are in the industrial district, in cities or wherever it is that you are. Amit says amenities. That is a good word for facilities, yeah. So you might actually see that a lot here in a lot of apartment advertisements, right? They will have a band or a category that says amenities, and then they will list what the amenities that they provide. Noura says, oh my God, I forgot that there is a class now because it's new. Hi guys. Hi Noura. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Welcome to the class and thank you for coming. Amanda says the factory looks very gray. Yes, it does, right? It looks very depressing to work there. But it could be very cool on the inside. Never judge a book by its cover. Okay, next word, feature. 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 So the building features a beautiful garden and swimming pool. Now notice that feature here is a verb. It's not a noun. It can be a noun, but here in this sentence it's a verb. So feature, very simply, how would I say this? you could say a good way to say how feature or what feature means is the building includes a beautiful garden and a swimming pool, right? The building includes. So yeah, so if you include a particular service or a particular person, so for example, a lot of songs these days is very common to say the name of the singer and then it says featuring the name of another singer, right? So that means including this guy also, right? Or highlighting this other person. So the building features a beautiful garden and a swimming pool, right? So the building includes or highlights or a beautiful garden and a swimming pool. Noura says shows, presents. Yes, I would say these are good synonyms or meanings that can give the meaning of features. Shows, Sakat says yes, that's also correct. JB says have as a part of its body. Yeah, that's also another good way of saying it. Elias says, can I say the public facilities? Yes, you definitely can say public facilities. Can we, Amit says, can we replace feature with characteristic as a noun? If you're talking about feature as a noun, yes, you can. That's a good question. Yes. If you're talking about feature as a noun, then yes, you can definitely replace it with characteristic. Adam says, hi everyone, I'm from Poland. Hello Adam, welcome to the class. Very nice to have you here. All right, let's go to the next word. What do we have? Furnished. So furnished is an adjective, and very simply it means that if you are renting a furnished apartment, that means the apartment, when you get it, it will already have furniture inside. You don't have to buy, or maybe you're only going to have to buy very, very few items. But yeah, so furnished, it means it already has furniture, usually a bed, a couch, chairs, dining tables, maybe TVs and electrical appliances. It depends on the apartment. JB87 says feature is also an adjective. For example, a feature film. Very good. Yep, it is also an adjective. That's a very good sentence. All right, let's see what do we have next. All right, so furniture, I'm guessing you guys know what that is. I just used it to explain furnished. So yeah, so furniture are things, right, that we use around the house for basic living, right? So things like chairs or tables or beds or anything like that, really, right? So furniture. I'm sure everybody here knows furniture. All right. Okay, and now the topic of actually the vocabulary that we've been talking about today is housing, right? So student housing is usually pretty cheap. Student housing is usually pretty cheap. So housing is just very simply houses or flats or apartments or anything that people basically live in, right? So that's basically what housing is, right? So apartments, houses, buildings, whatever, anything that people live in can be considered a type of housing, right? So student housing is usually pretty cheap. And it's more commonly used when you're describing the kind of housing, right? So student housing, as you can see in this example here, right? So student housing, that means the houses that are usually for students, right? It's very common to use it like that. In this industrial district, there are a lot of factories. Yep, that's correct, Elias. Very good. All right, next word we have is industrial. So I've said this word a few times already in some examples that I was giving today. And industrial really is just anything that is connected to the industry, right? And by industry, we usually mean the places where things are manufactured and made. Usually they're very large buildings that require a lot of space, and usually they have some kind of waste. That's why most of the industrial areas are usually far away from where people live in the city. That's pretty much it, right? So as you can see in this picture, this is a huge factory. It looks like a big factory, or something similar to a factory. And I would be very surprised if this was, for example, downtown, right? So this should be in an industrial area. And this, Elias says like a community of houses, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. Not 100% sure what you mean there. All right, let's see the next word. So jacuzzi, or a hot tub. So if you are lucky enough to have a jacuzzi in your house or your apartment, I envy you, but I'm happy for you. So a jacuzzi or a hot tub is usually like in this picture. So it's not very clear in the picture, but in the bottom right here, you see this little circular thing. So, and it has these holes inside where air comes up, and we call them jets, right? So these holes where the air comes out, we call them jets. So yeah, a jacuzzi is usually a small kind of swimming pool, really, or something similar to a swimming pool, but it's much smaller. I have seen some ones that are really big. Or it can be the size of your bathtub, right? So if you have a jacuzzi in your house, most people have ones that are the size of their bathtubs. But the difference is, of course, a jacuzzi has things like the jets for air to come out. The water is usually hotter than regular water. And that's a jacuzzi. Another very common name for a jacuzzi is a hot tub. So you'll hear a lot of people in North America say hot tub. I would say more than jacuzzi. You don't really hear that word a lot here. Yeah, most people would say hot tub. The Dreamer says, Karim, can you give me a synonym for pretty? Because I hear it a lot in American English. I don't know what you mean, Dreamer. If you're talking about pretty like beautiful, well then beautiful is a good synonym for it. But if you're talking about pretty like the word that we use to emphasize, then it just means very or quite. You know, like if you say it's very cold today or it's quite cold today, it's pretty cold. So I'm not sure which meaning you mean, but that's it. And Mariachi says, if you have a jacuzzi in your apartment, you are probably a rich person. Yes, I would agree with that, right? The jacuzzis are not cheap. I wish they were, though. Okay. Landlord. Next word is landlord. So anybody who rents an apartment or a house should know this word very, very well. So a landlord can be a person or a company. It does not have to be a person, just like an individual person. So it can be a person or a company. And basically, they are the people that you rent your apartment or your house from, right? Amin says, Karim, could you please let me know how long this class is going to go on? I would say that we have about another half hour, I would say, to go through, yeah, about another half hour maybe to go through the vocabulary and everything. That's okay, Amit. If you really have to go, that's fine. I appreciate you showing up. Remember, you can always watch the videos after I'm done, right? Or when you wake up tomorrow in the morning, the video will be online and you can always watch it. Okay, so back to the vocabulary. So landlord, as we said, it can be a person or the company that you rent your apartment or your house from. That's basically your landlord. Amanda says, is the landlord the owner? Not necessarily, right? So the landlord does not always have to be the owner. Yeah. Lease. So again, MJ Shahid says, sorry, I have to step out for a while. Hope to join your live session again next Wednesday. Sure thing. Thank you for coming, and I hope to see you next Wednesday. Thank you. Appreciate it. So lease is very simply another word for contract, right? So just think of it as a contract. So I had to sign a 1-year lease for my apartment, and it just means contract, right? So that piece of paper that you sign, that means that you agree to the rules and the regulations of the place. And that's it. So very, very simply just means a contract, another word for contract. So lively. Next word we have is lively. So lively is an adjective. And so as you can see in this picture, it says this area of town is not very lively during the weekends. So what does that mean, lively? If something is lively. Very simply, if something is lively, that means it's full of life and energy, right? There's a lot of things happening here, right? Things are not dead or boring or static. Lively, right? Lots of things happening, full of life, full of energy. Amit says, such a wonderful class. He enjoyed it. Thank you very, very much. That makes me happy. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Naima says, or Naima says, hi everybody. Hello, welcome to the class. Thank you for joining us. All right, so that was lively. So let's look at the next word. Let's try to get through this a bit quicker. Located. So the next word is located. So it says, my house is located 20 minutes outside of the city. So located is an adjective, and it comes from the word location. So location is where you are, right? The place that you will find something, where it is. So if you say my house is located, that means you will find my house, the place that my house is at is 20 minutes outside of the city, right? So yeah, it just comes from the word location, but it's the adjective. Cindy 77884 says, are you in Japan? No, I'm not, Cindy. I am in Vancouver, Canada. Naima says, today is my first day to come to a live class. Very happy to have you here, Naima, and I hope this is not going to be your last day. But yeah, welcome to class. Thank you. All right, next word we have is location. So like I said, located comes from this word. I cannot find the location on the map. That means I cannot find the spot, right? The correct area, the place where something is. That's location. Patricia says located is rent. No, located is not rent. Located just means where something is, right? Where can you find, or where something is found. So for example, I have a business that is located in New York, right? I don't. I'm just giving you an example. But let's say, for example, I have a business that is located in New York. That means, where is it? It's in New York, right? And that's it. That's what it means. Amit says, hope to watch you again. I'm here every Wednesday, so I'll see you next Wednesday, Amit. Thank you. Situated, MJ Shahid says situated, and that is a very good synonym for located. Furuh says, I missed your class today. Not technically, because you're here now, so you did not miss. You missed a little bit of it, not too much. But thank you for showing up. Shakil says, Salam, hi all. Hi Shakil, welcome to the class. Very nice to have you with us. All right, next word we have is neighbor. And as you can see, it says US between the brackets. It says US neighbor. There's no difference, it's just the spelling, right? So the Americans or people from usually America or North America spell neighbor with a B-O-R, and most other places will write it B-O-U-R. So my neighbor makes too much noise. Amit says, is it at this fixed time on Wednesday? Yes. So at the moment, my time is Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 3. And I think it's just going to stay like that. I don't really have any reasons to change the time right now. So yeah, so Wednesdays at 3 is usually when my class is going to be. Okay, so Patricia says people who live close to you, and yes, if you're talking about what a neighbor is or neighbors, that is correct, right? So people who live in your general area, right? Or people who live close to you, like Patricia said. So very good. Yeah. So neighbors are the people that live close by you. Now, neighborhood. And again, in the US, it's O-R instead of O-U-R. at the end of neighbor. Neighborhood very simply means is the area, right? So there are many places to get food in my neighborhood. So it's very common for people to call the area that they live in their neighborhood. And I don't think that there is a way to measure a neighborhood. Like I don't think there's a I don't think there's a rule that tells you a neighborhood is exactly, I don't know, 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer or 2 blocks or whatever way you want to measure it. It's more of a feeling that I guess that people use. But yeah, so neighborhood is the general area, right? Noura says, they say you should choose your neighbors before you choose your house. I like that. That's a good saying. Poke says, I'm a noisy neighbor. Ooh, you gotta be careful if you're renting, Poke. If you're renting, being a noisy neighbor is not a very good thing. Okay, let's see what else do we have. Real estate agent or a realtor, right? Or a realtor. So real estate is usually when we're talking about the business of buying and selling property, right? So property, what do I mean? Things like houses or buildings or large areas of land or small areas of land. It doesn't really have to be large. But that's basically what real estate is. So a real estate agent is a person whose job is to buy and sell and provide or maybe find houses for you if you want to sell, if you want to buy, sorry, or find people that want to buy a house for you if you want to sell your house. And that's really it. So sometimes you can call them a real estate agent or you can call them a realtor, right? So that's it. So it's just people whose job is to buy and sell anything that's related to property. And that's basically what it means. Refrigerator. That's a very sad looking refrigerator. I think it's empty actually. I think it's completely empty. I don't think there's anything in that refrigerator. Poor guy. But yeah, so a refrigerator, which is very commonly referred to, or people very commonly call it a fridge, right? A fridge. The place where you go to rent or buy a house. Rosa says the place where you go to rent or buy a house. Yeah, some realtors also do that. Yes, some realtors also rent. They don't only just buy or sell. They also provide some renting services. Yep. But it's not the place. A realtor is the person, right? The place is a real estate company or a real estate agency or something like that. A realtor or a real estate agent is the person, right? Okay, so a fridge or a refrigerator, I think we all know this one, right? It's that big box in our house that's cold where we put all the food so nothing happens to the food and it stays fresh as long as possible. Okay, residential. So in the beginning when I was talking about district and areas and that sort of stuff, I might have said this word as an example. So remember we talked about the commercial district, which is the area where you will find a lot of businesses. And then there's the industrial. There's the industrial district, which is the area where you find a lot of industries and factories and things like that. And then there is the residential district. So residential just very simply means a place where people live. So it's not commercial. There's not going to be businesses there. There's not going to be a lot of shops and malls and things like that. It's mainly just homes, right? So when you go home at the end of the day, hopefully, or not hopefully, but when you go home at the end of the day, usually most people live in residential areas. Some people also live in commercial areas, but a residential area just means it's full of places where people are just regular houses, right? No businesses and factories and things like that. Elias says an empty refrigerator, it's the most horrible thing. I would agree, yes. An empty fridge is very sad, very depressing. A full fridge, Noura says, a full fridge is a man's best friend. Yeah, why wouldn't it be? Thu says, hi Karim, please let me know what time is it now in Canada. Right now it's 4:09. It's 4:09 in Canada right now, which, and we need to get moving so we can finish. Okay, our roommate. So my roommate is quite clean and tidy. Roommate very simply means a person that you share a room with. Now, it doesn't have to be a room. So usually when people go to college, for example, it's very common for people to share a room or something like that. But even if you're renting an apartment, it's very common for people here to say roommates, right? So let's say, for example, you have an apartment that has 2 bedrooms and we share it, right? So I have 1 bedroom, you have the other bedroom, and we both share the rent. Then we are roommates, right? So that's what a roommate is. It does not have to be only a room. Even if you share a house or an apartment, you can still call that these people roommates. Like to be lived in. Like to be, I'm not sure what you mean exactly, the dreamer, but yeah, I'm not sure. If you can clarify, I'll try to answer. Okay, next word is rural. Now, a lot of people have a problem with this word. Even I do sometimes because of the 2 R's and the L, right? It's an interesting combination of letters. But it's rural, right? So rural. Rural areas usually have lots of farms. And very simply, rural area just means a place that is usually a bit farther from the city, and most of the time it's connected to the countryside, right? So rural areas. Noura says a roommate isn't necessarily a partner. No, they're not necessarily a partner at all. It just very simply means it's a person that you share the place where you live with, right? That's it. So both of you share the same living place. It can be a room, it can be a house, it can be an apartment, it can be anything. But yes, it doesn't necessarily mean a partner. Amanda says it's a good idea to make a casting for future roommates. Okay, yeah. Shaquille says village area. If you're talking about rural, that's not exactly correct. I wouldn't say it's a village area. Rural area is just an area that is far outside, usually of the city. It's not very close to the downtown area or to an area that has lots of buildings and houses and things like that. And it could be connected to the countryside a little bit. And yeah, that's really what it means. Okay, what's the next word? A sauna. So a sauna. So saunas you can find if you have a nice building. So maybe some of the amenities or the facilities that the building that you have provides is a sauna. So a sauna is very simply it's a room that is usually made out of wood walls, and you have wood benches, and it's a very hot room. So it depends on the sauna. Some saunas you just go in and the room is hot, or very common saunas also you walk in and there's a bucket of water and you take some water and you put it on some very, very hot rocks and it makes heat, right? So yeah, that's a sauna. Elias says, I love rural areas. Urban is the opposite of rural. Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, an urban area is usually the opposite of a rural area. I would say it's an opposite. Sink. Next word we have is sink, and this is a noun. It's not the verb to sink, which means to fall down or deep into water. So sink is very simply the place where you go to wash the dishes if you don't have a dishwasher, like me for many years. Or even in the bathroom, right, where you wash your hands and you wash your face, right? So just like you see in the picture, it's this area here. This is called the sink. Shaquille says steam room. Actually, there's a difference between a sauna and a steam room. So a sauna is more of a dry heat. A steam room is exactly that. It's a steam room, right? So you walk in and there's steam everywhere, and sometimes you can't even see through the steam, right? So there's steam all around you. But a sauna is not a steam room. A sauna is more dry, right? It's a very dry heat. Yeah, so that's it. Next word is spacious. Spacious. So spacious comes from the word space, and very simply, it's a word to describe that you have a lot of space, right? So for example, if you say, I really like this new car, it's very spacious. That means there's a lot of room, there's a lot of space inside, right? So we can also use it to describe a house or an apartment. This is a very spacious living room. You can even use it to describe a room, right? So it just means a lot of room, a lot of space. You have a lot of space. Okay, next word, story. And notice that the US spelling for that word looks like the word story, like when you tell people a story, but that's not the meaning, right? So the meaning of story that we're talking about here means which floor are you on. So for example, it says, I live on the second story of my building. So that means you live in floor number 2, right? So right now, where I am streaming Smrt, I'm at Canadian College of English Language, and I am on the 3rd story of the building. So I'm on the 3rd floor. Is that, no, actually I'm not. I'm on the 4th story of the building. This is the 4th floor, not the 3rd. Rosa says roomy, and yep, that could be a good synonym for spacious. Very good. Large or vast. Yeah, you could. I would say you could say large. Just a large room. This is a nice spacious room. But vast is a little bit too much, right? Vast means like if something is like space is vast, right? Space is massive. So I wouldn't say vast. Yeah. Okay, next word we have, we're almost done, is stove. So stove, I prefer gas stoves over electric ones. And I 100% agree with that sentence. So yeah, I definitely prefer gas stoves over electric ones. And a stove is very simply what you guys can see in this picture, right? So it's where we cook our food. Yeah, that's it. It's just usually where we cook our food. Now, you should know that a stove, so some people will look at this entire appliance and call it a stove. But technically, a stove is that part on the top, right? So the part where you put food on the top and there's usually a flame or the electric stove under it. And the part at the bottom here, the one where you open and you put things inside and you close it, that's called the oven, right? So there's a small difference, but it's very common for people to say the stove and they mean the whole thing. Place very vast. Oh, vast. Okay. Yeah, but remember, vast is not like spacious, right? Vast is much, much, much larger than spacious. Okay, so studio apartment. So a studio is a type of apartment, and usually a studio is an apartment that doesn't have rooms, right? So, so for example, if you see an advertisement that says studio for rent, that means there's no number of bedrooms in there, right? So you don't have a room that you can close the door on yourself. And it's usually just one open space, right? So you can have your bed and then your couch and your desk, and everything is just all in one open space. Of course, the bathroom is in a separate room. Thank God for that. But a studio generally means that's what it is, right? So it's just an apartment that's usually smaller than a regular apartment, and there are no rooms in it. Rosa says gas stove is way better. Yes, I agree. Way, way better. If you watch my cooking show, you'll see how much I hate electric stoves in there. But yeah. So that's what a studio is. And in Canada, actually, they have something else that's called a bachelor suite or a bachelor apartment. And believe it or not, that's even tinier than a studio. Much, much smaller than a studio. Okay, next word is suite. So it says, I live in a two-bedroom suite. Elias says, Karim, there's many types of stoves. You mean other than gas and electric? There's a gas stove, electric stove. I don't know what else. I'm curious though. If there are any more types, please tell me. So a suite very simply means a set of rooms, right? That is usually in a hotel, right? So especially in a hotel, we call it that. So it's very common when you go to a hotel, you're in suite number 2 or suite number, whatever it is, the number that you get. But it's a very common word, especially if you're going to be using it in a hotel. Or also, if a lot of businesses that are in large buildings, so if you have a large commercial building and there are a lot of different businesses inside that building, a lot of them very commonly would also say they're in suite, whatever the number of the suite is, right? So for example, 4th floor, suite number 41 or something like that. Abdullah says, hi, I'm new. Hi, Abdullah, welcome to the class. Nice to have you. Okay, next word is tenant. So I'm a tenant because I rent my apartment. So what does that mean? If you rent an apartment, that's basically what it is. If you rent, if you don't own your apartment and you pay rent every month or every year or however you pay your rent, that is what you are called. So you are a tenant if you rent. Shaquille says flat or apartment. Yes, flat is another word for apartment, especially if in Europe. Transportation. Next word is transportation. The public transportation in my city is very convenient. The public transportation in my city is very convenient. So transportation is what? Transportation are all the different ways that you can use to move or travel or go around in the city, right? So a bus is a type of transportation. A car is a type of transportation. Just anything that you use basically to travel or to move, right? From one area to another inside a city. We call that usually transportation. So in Canada we have, in most places they'd call it the underground or the metro or something like that. In Canada we have something called the SkyTrain, which sounds very cool. And you think that it's going to fly in the air, but then you get disappointed when you find out it's just a regular train. All right, next word that we have is unfurnished. So remember when we talked about furnished, the adjective, if an apartment is furnished, that means you get the apartment with furniture already inside and you don't have to buy your own. So this is the opposite, right? So an unfurnished apartment is when you rent or when you get an apartment and it has nothing inside of it, right? So you need or you have to buy all the furniture, things like chairs and beds and tables and all that stuff. Okay, next word we have is utility or utilities. So it says in the example, I pay about $200 a month for utilities, internet, phone, gas, and electricity. And utilities very simply is a service usually that is provided for the public, right? For example, like electricity or the internet or something like that. So every month usually you pay your utility bills. I wish just one month they would forget to send me the bills, but that never happens. Shaquille says we also have a metro in Lahore. Yes. All right, next word is view. We're almost done. I think we have 2 more words to go after this. So view is another word for scenery, right? So what you see, right? When you look out the window, for example, what you see, this is the view, right? So my living room has an amazing view of the city. So as you can see here, in this view, this is what he sees, right? So just the scenery, the things that you are looking at when you look outside a window or when you're sitting on a beach somewhere or anywhere really. That's just what you see, the view. Elias is, I'm not sure what Elias is talking about. He's saying transmission, can you type it? I don't know if you're talking to me and I'm not sure what you're asking. And yeah. Shaquille says sight. No, view is not sight. Sight is your ability to see things. The view is what you see, right? So there's a difference. It's not the same as sight. But seen, yes, right? So seen or scenery. All right, next word is washing machine. And usually a washing machine comes partnered with a dryer. You don't have to, of course, but that's what most people do. They buy a washing machine and a dryer. So very simply, a washing machine is the machine that you put your clothes in to wash, and that's it. So the example here says the washing machine in my building costs $150 to use, and that is cheap. My building is much more than that. That's not cool. All right, and the last word for today, we made it, is waterfront. Waterfront. So New York has a beautiful waterfront. So what does that mean? So waterfront, very simply, is the part or an area of your of a city or of a town that is next to the water, right? And that's it. It's as simple as that. So a part of a town or an area that is close or next to the water. Noura says SUV, sports utility vehicle. What does utility mean here? What does it's similar to what we talked about before. It doesn't mean your electricity bill or anything like that. It just means because remember, what did we say utility? What did we say that utility means? It's what? It's a service, right? That is provided basically for somebody, right? So a sports utility vehicle. Another meaning for the word utility is the quality of being useful, right? The quality of being useful. But yeah, but to be honest with you, like, I'm not sure why SUVs are called SUVs. But I could find out for next time. So yeah, that's an interesting question. I'll try to find that out. As you can tell, I'm not super interested in cars. I'm not a big fan of like, I don't really I'm not really interested in cars that much. But I'll try to find out what it means for next time. Promise. Okay, so we reached the end of the list. Congratulations, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, so we're gonna spend a few minutes doing a few exercises, and then I'll let you guys go for the day. So where are we? Let's just check if you can. I think you guys can see this. So make it big. Nope. I think that's too big, right? The Dreamer says, Karim, can you please tell us where you're from? And we're curious to know. Well, Shaquille answered you right there. Shaquille is right. That's where I'm from. Okay, so if you've been following and you've written all the words that we've done today, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds, or I'll give you a minute, right? I'll give you 1 minute. That should be more than enough for these 5 sentences. So try to put in the correct vocabulary word in the space provided. And I will see you guys in a few moments. Okay, so let's see what you guys did. So what was the first sentence that we had? We have, what does it say? In my city, houses and apartments are really expensive because there is not enough. And what do we have? So a lot of people said, Noura said accommodation or housing. Who else answered A? Elias says housing, also for A. I don't see any other answers for A, but yes, you guys are correct. Very good. So housing or accommodation, which is a word that we did not talk about today, but very good. That's another good synonym for that. But yeah, so very good. In my city, houses and apartments are really expensive because there's not enough accommodation or there's not enough housing. Very well done. B, is there a weight room in your, and what do we have? People said, so Elias said the facilities. Is there a weight room in your facilities building? B. Not a lot of people answered B, really. Okay. But it's not facilities, Elias, I'm afraid. So, is there a weight room in your apartment building, right? In your apartment building. That's usually where you might find most weight rooms, right? So a lot of big apartment buildings here, for example, part of the amenities or facilities that they provide is a weight room. So is there a weight room in your apartment building? C, it says, is it too expensive to take my car to work or school every day? Oh, sorry, it is, not is it. It is too expensive to take my car to work or school every day. I have to use public, and then a lot of people, I think, got this one. Transportation, Rosa, that's right. Elias says transportation, that's also right. Noura says transportation. Shakil says transportation. Very well done. A lot of you guys got this one. Very good. Next is C, and C says, or sorry, D. Most families with children live in the something part of the city. And some people here said, so this is D, residential part of the city, Noura says. Elias says also the residential part of the city. Rosa says the residential part of the city. Noura and yeah, that's it. Very good. Very well done. That's right. So most families with children live in the residential part of the city. I think somebody said waterfront at some point. I wouldn't say that's right, because the waterfront area of the city is usually very, very expensive. And if most families with children live there, yeah, they'd have to be making a lot of money. It's not cheap to live near the waterfront. Okay, next. A dishwasher is for washing dishes, and something is for washing laundry. So I saw this right already. A lot of people got this one very correct, so very well done. Washing machine is for washing laundry. Okay, so I'm almost running out of time here, or I went way over time actually, but I'm going to give you 1 more minute to do one more part of the exercise, and then we'll end after that, right? So here is the next set of the questions, and I'll give you guys 1 minute. Okay, and we are back. So let's see. I've been watching you guys. Most of you are getting this right. So first one says, if you love the ocean and live on the something, it is probably more expensive. So a lot of people got this. Safa says the waterfront. Ilyas says the waterfront. Rosa, I think, also says the waterfront. Furuh says the waterfront. Almost everybody's saying the waterfront, and that is correct, right? So if you live on the waterfront, it is probably more expensive. G says most people put barbecues or a small garden on there. And Safa again says balcony. Noura says balcony. Shakil says balcony. Joao says balcony. I'm sure I'm still not saying your name right. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, everybody got that one. So most people put barbecues or a small garden on their balcony. Very good. H says, I don't have a dishwasher, so I usually do my dishes in the. Who do we have? Ilyas says sink. Very good. Who else? Rosa says sink. Very good. Noura said sink. Joao said sink. JB87 said sink. Shakil said sink. Very well done, you guys. A lot of people said sink. So yes, most people, if you don't have a dishwasher, you usually do your dishes in the sink. Well, not usually. That's the only option you really have. You can't really do them anywhere else. I says it is common to use a something when buying or selling an apartment. And Noura says real estate agent. JB says realtor also, or real estate agent. Joao says the same thing. Rosa says the same thing. Furuh says the same thing. Yep, everybody's saying the same thing. Very well done, you guys. So it's common to use a realtor or a real estate agent when buying or selling an apartment. And the last question for today says, sitting in a something or something is a good way to reduce muscle pain. So a lot of people said a sauna or a jacuzzi. Elias says a sauna. Shakil says a sauna or a jacuzzi. Hot tub or a jacuzzi. Elias says a jacuzzi. So yeah, so the answer that I was looking for was a hot tub or a jacuzzi, but I guess you guys are not wrong either when you say a sauna, right? A lot of people go to the sauna sometimes as a way also to do that. So yeah, I'll accept both answers actually. So sauna is fine, or a hot tub is a good way to reduce muscle pain. So I believe that we are at the end of today's stream. So I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much again for coming and watching me do this. It really means a lot, and I hope that I've helped you out in some way, and I hope that you had a good time. So please don't forget, if you really do like what we do here, subscribe to our channels to show that you like it, and we can do more of whatever it is that we are doing that you guys like. You can also subscribe to get reminders of when the lessons are going to come out. So just go to the Smrt English page and subscribe there, and make sure to hit the notification button so you guys get notifications to know when the lessons are coming out. And that's pretty much it. So after this lesson of English, if you are hungry, don't forget I also host a cooking show on YouTube, and my channel is called Food AF. And I promised you guys that I'm going to give you the link at the end, so I'll type it up for you in the chat. So after I go off screen here, I'll stay in for about 5 minutes in the chat, and I'll make sure to put it in there for you guys. So yeah, so thank you again, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday at the same time on the same channel. I've always wanted to say that. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.